God's challenging us to hear the words of the wise who have put the wise men who have put these proverbs together. This is a section where we know from the book of Proverbs that King Hezekiah's wise men who served with him took these sections of Proverbs from Solomon's Proverbs and put them together, and they were included here in the book of Proverbs. That's chapters 25 through 29. So chapter 27 is a part of this. So we're talking about hearing the words of the wise, and I want to finish up this section. We started in verse 11. We looked at verse 11 through 16 last time we were in Proverbs. We looked at verse 17 through 22 tonight, because this is another challenge to us to remember that the wise person listens wisely. The wise person listens wisely. Now remember, there's only two options when you come to Proverbs. God's telling us you have a choice of seeking the road of wisdom or seeking the road of foolishness and the fool. And now what's important when we talk about the fool in the book of Proverbs, God's talking about someone who wants to have nothing to do with God. They don't want to have not one little thing spoken to them about God. They totally rejected God, and that's the meaning of the word fool here when you see the word fool in the book of Proverbs. So in order to follow the road of wisdom, God's saying one of the ways that you achieve that is the wise person listens wisely. So in verses 11 through 22, we first looked at 11 through 16, so now we'll look at 17 through 22, which is a continuation of that section, which says the wise learn to make wise choices in all different areas and in all relationships that they have in their life. Okay, so in order to learn, we have to listen. Okay, that's what God's telling us here in this session. In this section, in order to learn, we have to listen. So let's look at chapter 27. Look at verse 17. It says, here's a good one to start out. It says, "Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend." Now look at that verse again. Iron sharpeneth iron, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. That's an interesting verse here. So first of all, God's telling us, now he's talking about you have to listen wisely, and one of the ways that you listen wisely is, he's saying, listen wisely so you can gather all of God's wisdom, because the wisdom of God affects and influences our friendships. Okay? The wisdom of God affects and influences our friendships. So notice here in verse 17, he's pointing out to us, the point here is that friends of kindred spirits can easily have